are Jalen Jacoby. What is it that we do?
We give the people what they want.
So much going on in the world of sports. We have Michigan Wolverine football this weekend. We have Game 3 of the World Series tonight. But we start with the biggest football game of the weekend, as that is the AFC clash between the Titans and the Steelers. Jalen, you've been singing the praises of that man, Ryan Tannehill, all week long. Can he keep it up against the Steelers defense?
It's going to be interesting to see. He has elevated himself into one of the better quarterbacks this year. Their offensive line play has been outstanding. And you see Derrick Henry running over the left side, and you see Tannehill looking comfortable in the pocket. They lost a Michigan man on the offensive line. Taylor Lewan is not going to be with the team. Therefore, those two guys have to find a way to still keep that level of productivity, because in the past when he's been out, Derrick Henry's rushing yards per game are down, and obviously Tannehill hasn't been as good. So it's not as sexy as talking about the quarterback, Tannehill, and the running back, Derrick Henry, who's been outstanding and playing in the MVP level. But when you miss one of the best left tackles in the game, that will have an effect on your offense.
Exactly. They're not going to be missing Derrick Henry or Tannehill, but they're going to be missing the man that makes them successful, Taylor Lewan. We wish him a speedy recovery. And Jalen, here's one thing I want to point out. Do you know who he's not going to be available to be blocking? What I consider the best pass rushing duo in the NFL, and that is Bud Dupree and T.J. Watt. They're in the backfield seemingly on every passing down, causing problems. And as you mentioned astutely, without Taylor Lewan, I predict that they will be sacking Ryan Tannehill and making things very uncomfortable for him this weekend. And Jalen, you are watching Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN, but we're going to take a brief pause because this is about to be the Cardinals News Network. That's right, the Cardinals News Network. We love the Cardinals here on Jalen and Jacoby. We will always give you the update, and the update on their game is this, because of some issues with the Raiders that we will get into. This game between the Cardinals and the undefeated Seahawks has been moved to Sunday Night Football. It is Russell Wilson against a man who has a very similar game to Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray. What do you expect from this one? Before you answer that question, I want to celebrate someone who doesn't get enough love, and that is Budda Baker. Budda Baker is the safety for the Cardinals, who did everything against the Cowboys last weekend. He forced fumbles. He got sacks. He got a pick. He was everywhere getting tackles. I think he had 7 tackles on the game. Budda Baker is not a household name yet, but when you're watching the Cardinals News Network, we will do everything we can to make sure he is a household name. Who does he remind you of, Jalen?
So he was killing on Monday night. It made me think back to some primetime performers that always showed up on the big stage at my favorite position, defensive back. Like a Ed Reed representing the U, like a Troy Polamalu with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Both of these guys would turn defense into offense with the best of them. They didn't mind sticking their shoulder pads and their helmet in there to make a play. They would rush the quarterback, and they would make game-changing and saving plays. That's what Budda is falling into that category. So when I'm watching football, it was like, oh man, I know Rod Woodson is somewhere happy. I know somewhere at primetime Deion Sanders is happy. Watching defensive players impact the game, and we're not just talking about the quarterbacks and the running backs.
And of course, when we're talking about old safeties and the Cardinals, one of my favorites comes to mind, and that is my guy, Chuck Cecil. If you know, you know Chuck Cecil. Budda Baker, shout to you, but he is going to be going up against Russell Wilson, an MVP candidate with an undefeated Seahawks team. What can they do to slow down Russell and DK Metcalf and the rest?
So this is actually a clash of styles, Jacoby. First off, it's the student Russell versus Tyler, because if Russell doesn't have the success he has, Tyler probably doesn't go number 1 overall with his stature. So Russell Wilson has been the best deep thrower in the NFL. Well, the Cardinals have been the best at defending the deep ball. So it's going to be interesting to see when those 8 to 10 plays possibly happen, which squad is going to be able to make the big plays of the game.
They are playing on Sunday night because they're replacing the Bucs-Raiders game, and let me explain to you why. Trent Brown, a lineman for the Raiders, has tested positive for COVID. So what happens is the rest of the offensive lineman group isolate for 5 days. They'll get tested on game day. If they test negative, they will play the game. I'm speculating, not reporting, that I imagine that if they test positive for COVID, leaving the Raiders literally without an offensive line, they will likely postpone the game. What do you think the NFL should do in regards to these test results?
I agree with you. If they continue to get so many people testing positive, in particular the entire offensive line, you can't play the game, because if you saw Tampa's D last week against Aaron Rodgers, that's setting Derek Carr up to get crushed this weekend.
It's a good point. You look at, they were in the backfield all day, hitting Aaron Rodgers, pushing him over. They're just pushing him over, bring him down. It was tough for Aaron Rodgers. And if you are going to be missing offensive linemen, you do not want to do it against this defense. So, Jalen, there's something else happening this weekend. This Saturday night, Michigan football returns. Big Ten football returns as the number 18 Michigan Wolverines take on number 21 Minnesota. What are you keying on for the Maize and Blue in this one?
I'm looking under center, and the special number is 5. A quarterback that Jim Harbaugh recruited out of high school, running it in the end zone, representing the number in Ann Arbor. You already know what jersey I need, dog. You already know what jersey I need. And after he scores 2 touchdowns running and 2 throwing this weekend, I'll have it next week.
You know what? I did not remember that he was number 5, and he is now definitely going to win. Definitely going to win the game. This is a huge test for the Michigan Wolverines right out of the gate, and you know that I'll be rooting for the Maize and Blue. Best of luck to them and Joe Milton, who is the first quarterback that Jim Harbaugh has recruited to Michigan out of high school. If you remember, the rest of the quarterbacks have been already there or transfers from other schools. So this is Jim Harbaugh's first true recruited quarterback to play for the Wolverines. So there's a lot of pressure on him, but I think they get it done in this huge matchup that I will be watching, and that is Saturday at 7:30 on ABC. Now, Jalen, I love my job, so please be careful when you discuss this next topic, because it is time for the Don't Get Fired topic of the day.
And now, the Don't Get Fired topic of the day.
Jalen, there's a mom of 3 children that lives in an apartment building, and she's constantly being badgered by the neighbors and the noise coming from the apartment on the other side of the wall. And it is the noise of their neighbors performing coitus. And she took it to court, and it was decided that they were natural noises and that they cannot be told to stop. Jalen, what do you think of this mom of 3 complaining about the neighbors' relations?
So I do the show with somebody that has a wife. That's my sister, Joey. You also have 3 kids, right? I would believe that you guys could relate to a neighbor in such situations. Are you guys snitching? Is that y'all? Did y'all call the police?
That is not us.
Is that in your building?
No,
are you bringing your personal issues to the show?
I'm not. This is not. I do have 3 kids and I do have a wife, but it's not us complaining about the neighbors. In fact, now that you bring it up, the truth of the matter is, I moved 2 months ago and I've already received 3 complaints about my kids making the noise. That's what's so confusing about this. What's so confusing about this? It's not the neighbors making the noise. It's the kids making the noise.
And you talking about
that's probably why they're having sex so loudly, is because they're so mad about the kids making the noise next door. We have so much more to discuss, including the World Series and so many good games in the NFL this weekend, so make sure you stay tuned. You're watching Jalen Jacoby. Coming to you live from Pier 17 in the South Street Seaport and brought to you by Chase. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. This is the segment where we give the steering wheel to Mr. Rose and he decides what we discuss. It is time for Keep It Moving.
Tang! Woo! Tang!
If you want to discuss the topic, say hit the brakes. If not, me, you and Method Man jump in the minivan and keep it moving. And we start with a huge, pivotal Game 3 tonight in the World Series. Hit the brakes or keep it moving?
Hit the brakes.
Couple of great pitchers on the mound. It is Walker Buehler of the Dodgers, who is even better than Clayton Kershaw, and Charlie Morton for the Rays, who has a sub-1 postseason ERA. Jalen, get your Rostradamus on. What do you see happening this evening in World Series Game 3?
I anticipate both of these pitchers going into the first 5 innings or so really with command. I really do. And you know that if the Rays get the lead early and they're able to turn it over to their bullpen late, that might be trouble for the Dodgers. But I anticipate later in the game the Dodgers bats pick up. In particular, Mookie, the 5-tool player becomes the difference.
Get you somebody that loves you the way Jalen Rose loves Mookie Betts. But I also agree. I think that both pitchers will start out strong as we get into the later innings and later at-bats, the second at-bat, third at-bat, fourth at-bat. That is when you will see the bats light up. And the Dodgers just have more offensive firepower than the Rays. And I predict that they will win as well. Jalen, there was a football game last night between the Eagles and the Giants. Keep it moving or hit the brakes. Hit the brakes on this one. Hit the brakes. I'm going to say hit the brakes because I just want to watch this dude fall over. Danny Jones is a professional athlete. This man gets paid money to be an athlete, and there's no one around him. He's got a wide open touchdown. This would be an 88-yard touchdown, but then just goes down on the 12. I mean, only the Giants could turn an 80-yard run into a low light. Only the Giants, and of course this from Ingram to seal the game right off his fingertips. But Jalen, Eagles got the win. What did you think about Carson Wentz last night?
I'm glad you showed the Giants snagged victory from the jaws of defeat. And Carson Wentz was there to capitalize a couple of plays late. A deep bomb, and then he hit Boston in the end zone, or the other way around. However, I was delirious just watching this bad football game. But it was good to watch Carson Wentz will his team to victory. He's the reason why they're going to win this bad division. That guy right there.
If you have to get a last-second drive and then have the Giants drop a pass to win the game against the Giants, they shouldn't even count it as a win in the NFL. They really should not. If you need to get a drop pass to win the game, they should not even call it a win in the NFL. One team is going to win this division. However, instead of the Eagles, I believe it is going to be the Cowboys. And we move on to those very Cowboys who face off against the Washington football team this weekend. Hit the brakes or keep it moving?
Hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes on this. The Cowboys, coming off that disastrous loss to the Cardinals, have a cakewalk seemingly this weekend. Jalen, will they do the right thing and actually win a game this week?
Back in the day, I think it was Wendell Tyler who had a problem fumbling, and they had him walk through the facility with a loaf of bread, and he wasn't able to even make sure he smashed him at all. He had to protect it at all times. That's what they need to do with Ezekiel Elliott. You lose Dak Prescott, and all of a sudden I look up and Zeke putting the ball on the carpet. He's done it 4 times this year. And you know what? The other team scored a touchdown every time. They're going to need him to be a bell cow difference maker this weekend.
Absolutely. I think that they have the perfect opponent this weekend off of that terrible loss to the Cardinals. They have the Washington football team, who I consider to be one of the bottom 4 teams in the National Football League. So the Cowboys get a win, keep pace with the Eagles, and stay on top of the NFC least. Jalen, I have some very interesting news about the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
They need a vet, dog. They already got Karl Anthony Towns. They already have Russell. They have a couple of wings that they draft. They need a vet. Keep it moving.
Keep it moving. Of course, Jalen's talking about the Timberwolves. We have the Panthers and the Saints meeting up on Sunday. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes on this one. Hit the brakes on this one.
Okay. The Panthers have won some games. They've looked good in some and bad in others. The Saints the same. Who do you think sort of establishes themselves as a 4-win team this weekend on Sunday?
I'm watching one player on both of these rosters, and that's Michael Thomas, because he got a big check this offseason. And why he look like 21 Savage now that I see him after 21 was just on the show? Usually when you get that big deal in the offseason, you roll right into having another amazing season, especially when you almost catch 150 balls. But he was injured earlier, and then he had an altercation with a teammate, and then now he's in and out of the lineup. If they're ever going to get anywhere close to their goals, they're going to need him to play like the elite receiver that he is.
Absolutely. He had an altercation with a teammate and didn't play in the game, and now he's got a hamstring issue, so we don't know if he's going to play in this game. And they really need Michael Thomas because Michael Thomas he's a security blanket for Drew Brees. He's always open, and Drew Brees doesn't want to throw it down the field, and Michael Thomas is always there right about 5 yards downfield for him.
Can't guard Mike.
Can't guard him. Moving on, we have the Patriots facing off against the 49ers. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
The Patriots gave up 6 field goals to the Denver Broncos in a bad loss. They're looking to get back to 500 against the 49ers, who played well last weekend after playing poorly 2 weeks ago. Who do you have in this one?
I'm just gonna put a lamestream media storyline to rest. If you were the Patriots, should you have kept Garoppolo and allow him to be the backup for Tom Brady? Well, first off, you wasn't going to pay him $30 million to be a backup. Second, when they let him go, what did the Patriots do? Oh, they won the Super Bowl.
Yes,
they won the Super Bowl. So that seemed like a great decision. Now, on the other side, Garoppolo helped lead his team to the Super Bowl, but he makes over $100 million to play the game. The Patriots have a quarterback that they're paying basically peanuts to do what he do, and if I had to choose who's better, I would take Cam.
Interesting.
So the Patriots actually made the right decision. No-brainer.
This is the weekend where we find out if Cam's poor performance against the Broncos was due to lack of practice, due to recovering from COVID-19 positive tests, because this is a true test for the Patriots. They looked so good in week 1, and I thought Cam was going to be exactly what the Patriots needed, a new toy for McDaniels and Belichick to scheme for. But this is a good test for the Patriots. If they go to 2-4, they're starting to look like a team that will be outside of the playoffs, even though they've expanded
this weekend,
the playoff
Jacoby.
field. I'm rooting for Cam in the past this weekend. I hope they get the win because I love Cam Newton so much. Jalen, another thing I love, I don't eat a lot of fast food, but when I do, I'm hitting up Taco Bell, and I have a Taco Bell related story. Keep moving and hit the brakes.
Taco Bell for some Mexican.
Taco Bell took a lot of food items off their menu, and a lot of Taco Bell people, fanatics, were very upset about this. So a man in Missouri has done something. He's taken the discontinued items from the menu, put them in his freezer, and he's got a pop the trunk exclusive Taco Bell stand. He's running out of his freezer, and he's charging $70 a piece for some of these items that include the 7-layer burrito, the grilled steak soft taco, and the much adored Mexican pizza. Jalen, what do you think about this Missouri man selling Taco Bell out the trunk, out the freezer?
I support entrepreneurs, in particular small businesses, and this is a genius boss move. This is exactly something I could see myself doing. Like, wait a minute, oh, those discontinued? Oh, okay. I'm going to take those to the crib with me with those boxes that I'm taking home as well, and I put them inside there, put them in the fridge, and now I'm up selling them for $70 each. That's a boss move right there.
I just want to know, who's the market for this? Who woke up in the morning and was like, you know what I want to do? I want to go to some guy's house and have him de-thaw some Taco Bell, and I'm going to pay him $70 American for that. Like, does he really have
That's
customers
not how it
who's
works.
paying $70 for that? $7 maybe, but 70? Hell no. Jalen, not only do we have the World Series this weekend and the NFL this weekend and Michigan football, we have a huge fight in the UFC. We'll get you ready for that right after this. Welcome back to Jalen Jacoby. Jalen, let's discuss that fight. You have Khabib Nurmagomedov, who is choking people out every time he enters the ring. He seems untouchable, unstoppable. However, he goes up against that man, Justin Gaethje, who just throws punches. Gaethje loves to strike, and he stands toe-to-toe with Tony Ferguson and just punched him and punched him and punched him and punched him so much that the ref had to step in before Ferguson even went down. Jalen, let me show you the roadmap for Gaethje to win. He's got to get at Khabib's head early and strike him early, or else this is going to end by getting choked out by that man, Khabib. What do you think will happen?
This is going to be an exciting bout, Jacoby. But here's what I want everyone to know. ESPN has been killing it with these top-ranked fights and these UFC fights on Plus and on TV. It comes on at 2 o'clock. Don't be confused. We used to watching them at night. It comes on at 2 o'clock. This is going to be a battle between two gladiators.
Absolutely. And Jalen, we have another matchup that could potentially happen, and that is in a versus battle. Both Busta Rhymes and Jeezy have called out T.I. for a versus battle. I know you love nothing more than matchmaking these versus battles. What do you think about these potential matchups?